The studio lights of The View gleamed brightly on the polished round table where the co-hosts sat in their signature arrangement, Whoopi Goldberg commanding the center with her poised authority, Joy Behar to her right exuding that signature blend of sharp wit and unapologetic candor, Sunny Hostin radiating intellectual curiosity, Sarah Haynes bringing her warm Midwestern charm, and Alyssa Farah Griffin adding a touch of conservative perspective with her measured tone. The audience, a diverse crowd of about 200, buzzed with anticipation, their applause thundering as the familiar theme music swelled, announcing the arrival of today's guest, Matthew McConaughey, the Texas-born actor whose gravelly voice and laid-back charisma had captivated Hollywood for decades, from his breakout in Dazed and Confused to his Oscar-winning turn in Dallas Buyers Club, and more recently, his heartfelt activism following the tragedy in Uvalde, his hometown. Whoopi kicked things off with her trademark enthusiasm, leaning into the microphone as the cheers died down. "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The View. Today, we're thrilled to have with us a man who's not just a star on the silver screen but a voice for change, a father, an author. Please welcome Matthew McConaughey." The applause erupted again, louder this time, as Matthew strode onto the set, his easy smile flashing under the lights, dressed in a casual yet sharp button-down shirt rolled at the sleeves, khaki slacks hugging his athletic frame, his signature tousled hair catching the glow just so. He waved to the crowd, that infectious energy making everyone lean forward, and took his seat across from the panel, exchanging quick handshakes and air kisses, starting with Joy, who quipped immediately, "Matthew, you look like you just stepped off a beach in Malibu." All right, all right, all right." The audience laughed, and Matthew chuckled deeply, settling in as the cameras panned to capture the warm camaraderie that always seemed to envelop these daytime talk show moments. Whoopi dove right into the heart of it, holding up a copy of his new children's book, Just Because, its colorful cover promising tales of imagination and resilience. "Matthew, this book it's beautiful. Tell us, what inspired a blockbuster star like you to pen stories for the little ones?" Matthew's eyes lit up, his Texas drawl rolling out smooth as honey. "Whoopi, it's simple, really. I've got 3 kids: Levi, Vida, Livingstona, and every night, tuck in I see the world through their eyes. This book's about giving them permission to dream big, to ask why not? Without fear. It's my way of saying, just because the world's full of no's, doesn't mean we can't chase the yeses." The panel nodded appreciatively, Sunny chiming in first, "I love that. As a mom myself, it's those bedtime stories that shape us." "But Matthew, beyond the book, you've been so vocal about real issues: gun violence, school safety. After Uvalde, you didn't just speak, you acted." Matthew's expression shifted subtly, a shadow crossing his features as he recalled the horror of that day in May 2022, when 19 children and 2 teachers were gunned down in the very school where he once found solace as a kid. He leaned forward, hands clasped, voice steady but laced with passion. "Sunny, Uvalde's my home. Those weren't just headlines, they were my neighbors' babies. I went back, I met the families, held the pictures of those angel satiny shoes stained with blood, drawings crumpled in the chaos. It broke me, but it lit a fire. We're not anti-anything, we're pro-life, pro-safety, pro-making sure no parent gets that call." The audience murmured in agreement, a few sniffles echoing, and Alyssa jumped in, her voice empathetic. "That's powerful. You've turned grief into grants. Tell us about this Greenlights initiative you're launching with Camila." Matthew smiled faintly, the tension easing. "Yeah, it's about empowering schools. We connect them with grant writers, help them tap federal funds for metal detectors, trained counselors, locked doors that actually work. It's not sexy, but it's really getting kids home safe every day." Joy, ever the provocateur, tilted her head, her eyes sparkling with that mix of humor and edge. "Matthew, speaking of real, remember last time you were here? 2006, was it? You gave me a foot massage on air." Scandalous. The crowd hooted, and the producers cued the clip, the screen flickering to life with archival footage. A younger, even more roguish Matthew kneeling before Joy, his strong hands working her feet with surprising tenderness, both laughing uproariously as Whoopi feigned outrage. The current Joy kicked off her heels playfully, extending a foot toward him, Your turn again. Handsome, yeah, my dogs are barking after that monologue. Matthew grinned, that playful glint returning. Joy, you drive a hard bargain, but for old time's sake. He scooted his chair closer, taking her foot gently in his hands, thumbs pressing into the arch with expert pressure, eliciting a dramatic moan from Joy that sent the audience into hysterics. "Oh, Matthew, you're a wizard to marry me," she exclaimed, fanning herself. While Sarah giggled, "This is why we love daytime TV unscripted magic." The massage lingered for a beat, the cameras zooming in on the light-hearted intimacy, Matthew's fingers tracing deliberate circles, Joy's head thrown back in exaggerated bliss, the whole set alive with laughter that bounced off the walls like confetti. But as the clip faded and a foot rub concluded with a theatrical bow from Matthew, the conversation inevitably circled back to heavier waters. Sonny, sensing the pivot, leaned in. "Matthew, you've flirted with politics governor of Texas in 2021? What's the update? Could we see President McConaughey one day?" Matthew paused, rubbing his chin thoughtfully, the weight of the question settling like dust after a stampede. "Politics? It's a beast, Sonny. I measure my usefulness where can I do the most good. Right now, it's fatherhood, it's this foundation. But Texas? She's in my blood. If the call comes, and it's the right fight." He trailed off, eyes distant, envisioning perhaps the dusty trails of his youth, the wide-open skies over Austin. Joy, never one to let a thread dangle, pounced with her signature directness, her Brooklyn accent cutting through like a knife through butter. "Hold up, cowboy. Texas, land of guns and glory. You, with your Uvalde speech, calling for background checks, red flag laws that you think you can get elected there, been anti-gun?" The word hung in the air like smoke from a campfire gone wrong, the audience falling into a hush, the co-hosts exchanging glances, Whoopi's eyebrow arching, Alyssa's lips pursing, Sarah shifting uncomfortably. Matthew froze for a split second, his easy demeanor cracking like parched earth under the sun, repeating her words softly to himself, "Anti-gun." Then, slowly, he raised a single finger, pointing it squarely at Joy, not in anger yet, but in firm delineation, his voice dropping an octave, laced with that Texan steel. "Joy, one thing about me and politics to give you a direct statement right there is me playing a game I'm not interested in playing." The studio temperature seemed to drop, the applause sparse, Joy holding up her hands in mock surrender. Okay, don't do it if you don't want to." But the seed was planted, the exchange igniting like a spark on dry tinder, and as Whoopi smoothly interjected with a surprise giveaway for the audience, he assigned copies of the book zipped out on conveyor belts to eager hands as the undercurrent simmered, promising that this was merely the calm before the storm. Matthew accepted the pivot gracefully, but his eyes, those piercing green orbs that had seduced audiences from rom-coms to thrillers, lingered on Joy a beat too long, a silent vow that the conversation wasn't over. The show rolled on, commercials beckoning with promises of mundane miracles like stain removers and car insurance, but backstage, producers whispered, sensing the viral clip brewing, the kind that would light up social media feeds from coast to coast. When they returned, the panel eased into lighter fare, Matthew sharing anecdotes from filming Interstellar, his voice mimicking Christopher Nolan's intensity. He'd yell, "More gravity," and I'd be flailing like a fish on land. Laughter rippled again, but Joy, undeterred, circled back slyly during a break in the chuckles. "Come on, Matthew, Texas loves its Second Amendment." Your Uvalde tears were real, but electability? Spill. Matthew's jaw tightened, the foot massage's warmth forgotten, replaced by the heat of scrutiny. He leaned back, crossing his arms, that finger jabbing the air once more. "Joy, labeling me anti-gun is like calling a doctor anti-knife for wanting surgery safe. I hunt, I own firearms irresponsibly, but those kids, their blood's on AR-15s in the wrong hands. I'm pro-common sense, not playing your gotcha game." The audience gasped, a mix of cheers and murmurs, Whoopi waving her hands like a referee. Whoa, let's keep it civil, y'all." But Joy pressed, her eyes narrowing playfully yet pointedly. "Gotcha? It's reality, darling. Texas voters say they pack heat at Whataburger. You gonna win 'em with Hollywood hugs?" Matthew's face flushed, that famous drawl sharpening into something fiercer. Reality? Let's talk reality, Joy. I buried friends in Uvalde tiny coffins. Parents wailing hymns that'd curdle your blood. You sit here in your studio bubble, slinging labels like confetti, but I've seen the carnage. Anti-gun? Hell, I'm anti-massacre. The word exploded, his fist slamming the table lightly, the water glasses rattling, the audience erupting in a cacophony of support and shock. Sonny tried to mediate. Matthew, we feel you, a gun reform is urgent, but he was on a roll now, voice rising like a preacher in a tent revival, pointing at Joy with unyielding intensity. You wanna box me? Fine, but don't you dare reduce my pain to a soundbite. Those families trusted me to carry their story, and I'll be damned if I let you trivialize it for ratings. Joy recoiled slightly, her wit faltering under the onslaught. I'm just asking, Matthew. Politics is brutal. But he wasn't done. Standing now, his chair scraping back with a screech that silenced the room. Brutal? Try walking through a school-turned-slaughterhouse, Joy, smelling the cordite, hearing the echoes of what could have been recess laughter. That's brutal. Your question? That's just lazy journalism. The co-hosts froze, Whippy murmuring, Matthew, sit, please see where live. But the audience was on its feet, chanting Matthew, Matthew. As cameras captured every vein popping in his neck, every bead of sweat on his brow, this wasn't the charming guest, this was the raw, raging father, the activist unchained, the Texan who wouldn't be tamed by talk show tropes. And as the segment teetered on the edge of chaos, the fire in his eyes promised much more yet to come. The exchange no longer fiery but inferno hot, threatening to consume the set in its righteous blaze. As the applause thundered like a summer storm over the Lone Star Plains, Matthew McConaughey paced the length of the hot set, his shadow stretching long under the unforgiving lights, each step echoing the pounding of his heart against the ribcage that had carried him through blockbusters and personal reckonings alike. Whoopi Goldberg, ever the conductor of this daytime orchestra, rose slightly in her seat, her voice a soothing baritone cutting through the din. All right, everybody, let's take a breath. Matthew, we hear you, we do. Uvalde was a stain on our nation, and your voice has been a beacon.